What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 32 of the Elephant Wire Podcast, the show we break down song lyrics and don't play you a damn second of the song because major labels are thieving babies that would sue us up the ass. This week's episode, local bands, please be advised. We got Jason Perez with us. Let's fucking get some, boys.
Welcome to the Elephant Wire Podcast. Music. Drugs. Laughter. Lyrics.
Yes, son. Yes, son.
Oh my gosh. How do I get a cool background like yours, dude?
Microsoft Paint in about 17 hours.
17 of them?
I said 17 hours. Like I filled in every pixel one by one. Oh, man. What's good, son? How you living?
Oh man, hard and long. Cheers.
Cheers, brother, man. I'm out of beer in the hotel room here, so I'm gonna have to join you in spirit on that one.
I get it.
Yeah. Been hitting the vape pen pretty hard though. That's been going nice.
There you go.
Yeah, I bought the vape pen topper I got right now. I bought in Seattle at Sean Kemp's dispensary. How about that, huh?
Sean Kemp, how's he doing?
Apparently doing really well, and is like a blossom among the Seattle community. Like anyone I talk to, like, yeah, I went over to Sean Kemp's dispensary, and they're like, oh, we love him. Oh, okay.
Mr. Kemp.
Mr. Kemp, they're a big fan. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, brother, man, it's good to have you back on. Last time you were on here, I believe it was episode 7. So this is now episode 32. So
wow.
We are moving and
Nice.
shaking, brother, man. We're getting some.
There you go. Trucking right
Okay.
along.
It's been fun. Yeah, it's been a good time. Few episodes actually. We had a good buddy of ours on here, Matt Kopecki. We had
I
him.
saw that.
Yeah,
We
had him as the local band spotlight. It's sweetheart of a young man from the West Burbs. How about that?
Look at that. Yeah, he's a good guy. I love Kopecki.
Hell yeah, man. And I've been following a bunch of what you guys are like Tunes for a Minute, what you guys are running over at Pollyanna Brewing out there in the West Burbs and just booking shows like crazy, man. I love it.
Yeah, man. One step at a time. It kind of gradually caught on, but once we were all on the same page, like with how Pollyanna does things with their beer, how they want to do things with their music, and how Tunes for a Minute can help with that.
Yeah.
Once we aligned on that vision, it just kind of ramped up, and next thing you know, it was like, oh, okay, so yeah, we'll fill all the weekends. Let's do it.
Yeah, we got you. Okay, cool. Let's do this. So like what kind of rotation you got going? Like, because I know you guys got quite a few bands that are working with you guys. Are you able to pretty much have a solid rotation coming through there?
So right now we've got about 3 to 4 bands that we pull from every other month is kind of the schedule that we're working with.
Okay.
And then we fill the other dates according to that. But basically, out of the 4 weeks, we're looking to have 3 one night for those weeks, right? Because there's 2 nights for the week. But anyway, out of the 4, we're looking to have 3 nights of those be a band that people are getting used to, that they're seeing more often. But it's been, for the most part, it's kind of all over the place. It hasn't really been, too well set. But that's also on purpose. We want to try to keep it fresh and exciting.
Yep.
But at the same time, try to build that consistency where people know that it's going to be good every time they show up.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Because that was one thing we the majority of today, I kind of want to just talk about just local bands as far as like the business aspect of things and kind of everything that comes with that. But one thing we were talking about last episode when you were on was, being a gigging musician and, happen to fill 2.5, 3 hours of a night, you know what I mean? And kind of your own sense of like your own music inside you kind of, it doesn't necessarily go out the window, but you definitely have to make some sacrifices there. Just you're filling 3 hours. Like you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to tell you one of the first episodes we did in the second season, we did on Black Sabbath. And I heard a story about those guys when they were first getting started. They were doing these shows in, I believe it was Sweden, if I remember correctly. It was a 3-night stand at some resort in Sweden. And they did all three. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they did all 3 days. And each of those days they had 7 hours to fill. So they do 45 minutes on, 15 off, and then 45 minutes on, 15 off. And like, when I heard them telling that story, they said that there was a couple times they straight up just ran out of material. And they're just like, drum solo.
Yeah, let's do that. Hold on, I gotta let old Winston needs to.
Oh, Winston,
go do other stuff, I guess. Come on, man, he's got to go somewhere else, I guess.
Yeah.
Suppose
he's bored.
It's funny. It's funny. Excuse me. It's funny that you bring that up because this last weekend, a friend of mine who used to live here in the burbs of Chicago. No, he was not the burbs. Where the heck did he live? Oh no! Wait for it. It's over by Fitzgerald's. You know where Fitzgerald's is?
I don't.
Have you ever heard of Fitzgerald's? It's a
gas station.
It could be a gas station. Let's just say it's a gas station. Whatever. The story's gone. I can't remember. It'll pop up. Anyway, so this buddy that used to live in Illinois who no longer does. We played in a band called Public Disco Porch together. And then a few times I would fill in when their drummer wasn't available for one of their projects called Cardinal Harbor. Mm-hmm. And so, I had more experience with Public Disco Porch, but had also played a few shows as Cardinal Harbor, right? So he gives me a call and he says, listen, I got these 2 shows. It's Friday, Saturday in, Door County. And, wondering if you want to come up and play with us. And I said, yeah, man, that sounds like a lot of fun. I go, I assume there's going to be a rehearsal. And he goes, no, unfortunately, he moved to Pennsylvania. The guitar player's in Birmingham. And it's all over, it's all over the place. So it's like, it'll be fine. It'll be great. Whatever, dude. It'll be a good time. Let's do it. So we booked the gig, but it's 3 hours Friday and then 3 hours Saturday.
Yeah.
And, it didn't really dawn on me what I was getting myself into until they sent me the set list. And it was like all these covers that I don't do. A ton of their original stuff that I've never done.
I've never even heard this.
I know. And they were just like when I showed up, I'm like, man, I go, do you guys know any like Hendrix? Do you know any jazz standards? Do you know any blues stuff? Like I'll play whatever. I have a pretty large, repertoire of songs. So I thought like we can try to pull something out. They didn't know anything I knew. It was eerie. I'm like, this is crazy. This is nuts. Like, and so we ended up playing just a bunch of random covers. And we had some audibles. We felt like a lot of we did the reggae stuff felt nice. So we tried to stick with, that feel. Yeah.
Go with what works.
Right, dude. It was such an interesting night just to be like, oh, we don't know what to play. And then, of course, these guys they're almost like like math rock ish, but very like down to earth and homey, very emotional. It's super interesting. It's eclectic, but it's a lot of fun. And but because of that sort of math rock progressive style that they've got, there's a lot of off time weird parts. Stuff is in odd time signatures, and it's like what are we going to do? Not play those songs? It was
right.
It was fun. It was a great time. But I can't
this next song is in 7/3. Like, why?
What?
Why did you even do that?
It doesn't even make any sense.
Do I count to 7 or what am I counting to? Dude, funny story on time signatures. I was hanging out with Mike DeWitt the other day, our old homeboy.
Oh, old Mikey D.
Oh, Mikey D.
I've never called him Mikey D.
Not once. We're hanging out and we're listening to some music, and I was like, dude, this shit's in a weird time. And Mike, he just starts going on his thigh, just trying to get the rhythm of the song. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And he's trying to figure it out, and he's like, yeah, this one is in a weird time signature. And then it was right as this breakdown was ending and like a verse was starting. And I was like, see right there, like he didn't come in on one, did he? Mike just goes, absolutely not. And that was the last that we talked about it.
Was that on the one? No, that wasn't on the one. Moving on. You got it.
I don't know what it was, but that wasn't one. That was it was too funny, man. Oh my God. Well, I tell you what, bud, I in the last couple of weeks, I went back and I listened to our first episode that we did together. God, I got to quit. Can you hear that when I punch my microphone? My bad.
No, I can't. It's crazy.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Well, I brought my mic stand with me, but I didn't bring the fucking clip that holds the microphone. So I got it sitting on a stack of hundreds. There we go.
And stack of hundos. Okay. All right.
Yes. Not what it's actually sitting on. But I went back and listened to our old episode that we did, and there was a quote from that actually stuck out to me. And it was something that you had said when we were talking. This is kind of what I want to dwell on today. But you made the statement, musicians get so tired of being in this loop of creating, pushing, and selling. And I thought that the way that you worded that was fantastic, because it's exactly that. Like and where I really want to kind of spend our time is like, how easy it is as musicians, and local artists, and just artists in general, the creating aspect that just comes freely. But where the roadblocks and the speed bumps and all that comes in is whenever you get into the pushing and the selling. And that's the part that actually, like a lot of local musicians, that's the hurdle that they can't get over. And this is something that it as many times as we've talked personally, or even in the last episode, and then a whole bunch today too, how difficult it is for musicians to switch gears and to switch gears from that creative to then like, okay, my next step is, I've now created this thing. Now I need to sell this thing. And that's a lot of times what ends up being one of the tougher parts about being a local musician. And that's something I kind of wanted to talk about today. And like, whether we end up just bitching about the industry in general, or whether we actually have any good advice. We could go two directions with this.
Don't do it. It sucks. That's my advice.
Fair enough,
I think, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting place, for musicians because, they all live there between the creativity and the selling. And I think the balance only comes from the music itself. You're if you're putting everything that you have to offer into writing a song, when you play that, it's only going to move the ball forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's more about, like, instead of looking at it like, it's a business, it's as well as an art. I try to approach it more from the art informs the business. This is how it should be. So, I guess the easiest example would be like a musician will spend hours and hours and hours and days and months and arguments and writing down and, fixing, particular words and trying to change dynamics so a transition hits better. And they'll do everything they can. They will use every resource that they have available to them to make that piece cohesive and one whole song, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then when it comes to then promoting that song, it's like all of that stops. Like all the push, to being creative or pushing the boundaries and making things sound better. It's like all of a sudden it doesn't matter how it's portrayed. And I think that if we just allow the music to inform those business things or marketing things, it will just, it'll enhance the whole thing. Because I think a lot of guys think that they have to no longer use that side of their brain, because now it's more business. Now we have to write things down and send emails. So it's like, my creative side can just get, it could just be put on hold right now, when it's like, we should be combining the two. So, you got to find a way to sort of make it fun, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and another thing that comes to mind just as you're talking about this, do you think one side of it may be that musicians are just artists in general? One thing that we all struggle with is, kind of valuing our own time in a manner of speaking. You know what I mean? So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So like, you start you have a startup company and, you're making travel mugs or whatever it may be. And, you plan what the product's going to be, you go into R&D, and then you come out with the product, and then you package the product, you release the product, you build your website, all these things. All of those things end up getting factored into your cost. And all those things as far as like what you value your product as, everything that came before the product's actually in the consumer's hands, all those things get factored into the price of that product. And I think a lot of times as artists in general, but more exclusive to our conversation now as musicians, I think just hearing you talk right now, that's what made me think of this, is that it kind of seems like one of the things we struggle with is actually is valuing our product. Because it means everything to us, like that song I wrote in 2010. That song that song means everything to me because of where I was at and how I was able to grow writing it. But as far as like a product, it's tough to switch those gears because I don't value it in that way, to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no dollar amount associated with it, which, at the end of the day, you really could never do that. Right. I mean,
exactly. That's the toughest part.
So why even try?
Yeah. Exactly. So then,
right,
so then really then all we have is that we have to value our time then. Because our time, we can actually put a dollar sign on our time. I go to, when I go to work, however long I'm there, I expect a certain amount on my paycheck because of the amount of time that I put into it. So therefore, like starting to look at music as a business, that is one very important thing that like you have to be honest with yourself. If you're a band, that story that you just told is very funny. Like about like, will we be able to practice? Like, well, no, we're all in like 7 different states and the show's in Wisconsin. So
yeah. We're all going to be traveling to a state nobody's from.
Yeah. Did you say the Dells, by the way?
No, Door County.
Oh, Door County. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, equally as it's a beautiful area of Wisconsin.
It really is. It is very nice.
It's like the Connecticut of Wisconsin. I think someone said that one time.
Yeah, right. No, it's funny because it's hard. It's hard. Like, I'm trying to think. Excuse me. Can you cut that out? Can you cut that part
No,
out?
because that makes 31 episodes straight. I didn't burp in the first episode, so that makes 31 episodes straight that there's been a burp in an episode. So no, that's good.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, good.
Yeah, and only like 3 of them were on purpose. So
yeah,
it's just a thing
that was
happens.
one of them. I did that on purpose. That was for sure.
The streak continues.
Yeah. I'm glad I could keep it alive. Yeah, it's funny because, again, if you think about what goes into writing a song, you have to, you have to have, first of all, something that moves you, right? Something that you go, ooh, like that felt good, right? Or that sounded good, right? And then from there, you just sort of ruminate on it. And then it starts to develop into this new thing. And as it starts to develop, you have to have conversations about it. You have to look at it. You have to hear it in different ways, and you have to, bring other people in, organize their schedules to get together, pitch them the idea of the song. How does it feel? Let's talk about what it's about. What does it mean? Where is it going? So you have this, even a story arc and everything. You have to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You have to, plan all this stuff. Especially if you think about writing songs with other people, you have to get, again, their schedules. Like, people are busy, but musicians will take the time out of their day to get together to write music. But it's like, those same musicians that are good at that, as soon as you say, okay, we got to get together to go over what our schedule looks like, what days a week we're going to practice, what we want, the website to say about us. Mm-hmm. How do we want to release the song once it's done being recorded? Who do we want to send it to? What are the pictures going to look like that go on the cover? How are we going to get it uploaded to these streaming services? I mean, it's like all of a sudden, no, the song is just supposed to do that on its own, right? Like like we just turn it off. And I think that, again, if there's any advice there, because it really just sounds like I'm complaining, right?
That's fine. No,
but
this is where the ideas come from.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, if there's any advice, I think that it's just a matter of not looking at it as something apart from the music. Like, and then if you can approach it as a group, then you're all saying, this is a good song. We want it to circulate. We want it to be heard by people we don't personally know. How can we do that? Okay, let's write that song, right? Like if you understand that it's all part of the same thing. But I don't know. It's weird, man, because what you find really is that the guys that are the best at writing the songs are the worst at doing anything else. Anything else. It is true. It's okay. And you know what? Let me just say, I'm not gonna point out any names, but there are some artists that just don't know how to interact with the crowd. There are artists that can write an incredible song, but they're so vulnerable when they're doing it that when the song's over, they feel naked and they can't say anything to people that are listening. And the people are say the people are having a great time and they're like, man, this incredible. We friggin' love everything this guy's doing. It's like they still can't make that connection between, I'm playing these songs and you're watching me and I can be okay with that. It's just interesting, but you see that within the artists that are very good at it. They just don't know how to interact, and they just don't know how to just be organized. Just maintain a schedule.
Yeah.
But
And
I don't know. It's weird.
No, I think you make a very valid point. I mean, like I'd been in a project a long time ago with some guys that I found that out very early on, and it was the exact same thing you were just talking about. Like, you know, hey, you guys all want to get together and jam? Fuck yeah! Well, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Like, and then you know we'd all be done jamming, and I'd be like, hey, what do you guys think about like this for a promo or something like that? I mean, just like blank stares. Jake, you take care of that. Like, we don't care. And they weren't being dicks. They weren't being like it wasn't like they genuinely didn't care. They just like that side of it. They just didn't see any importance at all.
Yeah, and I think part of it is that the rock star lifestyle, where you know, oh, I don't care, and that's my branding, bro. You're gonna notice that I don't care with my branding. Watch me not brand, bro. And it's like, you know, I get it. And you know, the guys that are like, it's the same thing with the guys that are like, oh, it's not an industry, man. It's not an industry. It's like, okay, well, here's the sad news is that it is an industry. And if you don't wake up to that fact, you will be left behind. It's that simple, dude. It is that simple. You've got to think outside of just writing the song. You have to. And the fact of the matter is that it is an industry. And when you start a band, you are starting a business. It's that simple. Every band avoids that. Every band hates thinking about that. There's only one or two dudes. And if you got a great band, you have two guys that will take care of that sort of promotion, scheduling, pay, contracts, writers, equipment, all of that. If you have two people handling it, you're in a great band. But that's the max you're going to get. Like, imagine if everybody did their part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If everybody actually was like, yeah, Jake, let's look at it. Let me look at those colors like I hear sounds. Let me try to get that side of me into what we're doing. But I don't know. I think a lot of it is getting better, especially in terms of like, you know, visual representation on social platforms, because people have been doing that for so long for themselves. But I do think that what it really comes down to is just professionalism, you know, just conducting yourself as someone that is running a business. Like, yes, it's a band. It's not supposed to be corporate, but at the end of the day, if you don't say, you know, I'm going to maintain discipline, and I'm going to, you know, write down goals and meet them at specific times with the help of my bandmates, then you're never going to get anywhere. It's just going to be a bunch of circles. So it's kind of frustrating to see it, but it's just the truth. Like, artists just don't want to do that. They just don't care. Yeah. But
well, and I think you hit it on the head whenever you said that, you know, bands just don't, like, someone saying it's not an industry, and just how foolhardy that statement is. And that, you know, if I wanted to open a record store, like, I need to take into account that it's a business. I can't just be like, I just do this because I love music. Like, well, your business has overhead. Like, I just love records. That's why I'm doing this. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You pay rent, and you have this, and you have this, and you have and then you got to bring in new records, and you know, we could sit here and pretend all day that it's not an industry. And that's the thing. If you don't want to be a part of the industry, if you just want to do, well, basically what I've been doing for the last 8 years, and just like write albums in your bedroom and release them and don't really give a fuck who hears them, then yeah.
See, 100%.
Yeah.
And you bring up a great point, because at the end of the day, you do have to assess the situation, and you have to be self-aware. You have to know what you want.
Yeah.
Because if your idea of music is playing live shows and touring the world, then you gotta, I mean, man, you better get yourself ready. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of work. It's a lot. And so I think if you have a more realistic idea of or plan of what it looks like to do music, then yeah, anything's possible. It's just a matter of what you're trying to do. But yeah, I mean, for me, that's a big one, is, creatively, not business related at all, but just like what I want to be doing. I would say writing music, spending my time in the studio, creating things and then listening to them. And then, playing shows is, that's fun. But for me, it's just being in the studio, man. I just love writing music.
Yeah.
So, if it's a matter of making money to just live in the studio, then that's totally doable. That's easy.
Yeah. There you go.
But
recently we were on the phone and we were talking about how one of the other difficulties that musicians and local bands and local artists face today, especially like once you start to get really any amount of social media presence, is you start getting a whole bunch of people sliding in the DMs, and they want you to think that they have your best interest in mind, and saying things like, "Hey, you're going straight to the top, and I'm the guy that's going to take you there." Hey, like if you get on board with our promotion company, like we're gonna, we'll make sure that 20,000 people hear your song this month, and like you got people sliding in the DMs all the time saying that shit, and honestly, half the time you can tell right off the bat because they're not very good at it. It's just a robot or whatever it is. Like,
it's just pretty obvious,
dude. So the podcast has started getting hit up about being brand ambassador for a couple different brands, and I got I got hit up by one the other day, and I was like, I don't think you know what we do.
Our visions don't really align.
This doesn't make any sense. Yeah. I mean, the coolest one we got so far was the ball trimmer. That's been fucking awesome.
Oh, I think you posted about that.
Hell yeah, man.
You said something. I remember that.
I literally used it today. The fucking Manscaper. What is it? Shave your balls or smooth my balls or whatever it is. Hell yeah.
You don't even know. You don't know, but you're an ambassador?
I'm in the moment. Do you want me to go get it? It's in the bathroom.
No, I believe you. I mean, I'm just angry that you don't know it. You're not dedicated.
Okay, well, I have trouble with the business side of
what I'm saying is, oh my gosh, it happens to all of us. It's just the truth, man. It's so funny. It's an age-old problem. But what was your question a minute ago? Dang it.
I was saying how recently when we were talking, we were talking about like the guy that
sliding in the DMs.
Yeah, and he says, "I'm going to take you straight to the top." And I remember we were joking. We were like, "Yeah, they said that to Prince. They're not going to say that to you."
Excuse me, man. Oh man, it's true, because those days are over where it's like, get discovered, like, and I mean, yes and no, because yes, people still get discovered and things go viral, and discovery is very different. But in terms of, I know the right people follow me, I'm the guy that's going to get you through to the record labels and get you the right deals, like that day's over. But I do think it's interesting because it's still just a popularity contest. If you really think about, a band wanting to write music and then a band trying to market that music, everybody gets caught into this, look at me, mine's cool, sort of mentality, where it's like the kind of content that people, and I'm doing this a lot tonight, the kind of content that people are looking for is genuine and true to whatever message you're out there trying to put out. And so I feel like if everybody would sort of, I don't know, man, just forget about the popularity contest. Like, just write your music and let your music be better than anything out there. And the rest is just going to sort of fall into place, man. Like that's really what it comes down to. If it's good and you just have a heart to write music, then just push your music with that same heart. And at the end of the day, yeah, man, like that's just the twisted part of the industry, man. The fact that there are people that have made a living off of telling artists that they will get them somewhere. There it goes again. That they will get them somewhere to turn around and just basically, I mean, take money. Well, yes, I'm going to get you somewhere, but it's going to take this much. And the fact that guys have careers doing that just goes to show how messed up the industry is, because that's a normal thing. Like artists are still paying them. These guys are still making money, or else they wouldn't be doing it. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy to me.
I've had one guy, he slid into my DMs like 4 or 5 times now, and like it's even baffling to me because like we now have like 4 or 5 messages back and forth to each other. Yeah. Except like 3 of his are copied and pasted. I'm just like, bruh, like what? I don't understand what you're not getting here. Like, now I'm going to do it. I don't want your help. Like you don't want to help me. You don't want to help me at all. You want me to give you $500. You're going to get 500 robot phones to follow my page. I gain nothing. I didn't gain shit from that. Like, that doesn't get anybody anywhere. Because like you said, that's just trying to win a popularity contest. That's not what I'm trying to do at all. Yeah. Like one of the biggest things when I first started this podcast that like was a big game changer for me was I had to learn the difference between just straight up listens to an episode of the podcast versus engagement. You know, because I was watching the number of how many people were actually listening, and I was like, man, that number's not going up quick enough. I don't like that. Like, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to do differently? And then I started doing some reading and some research, and I was like, wait a minute. Like my engagement is actually going up. So the people that are listening every week. Like they're actually paying attention. Like they're actually tuning in to the new episode. Yeah. Maybe unique followers, I'm not gaining those like I like to, but my engagement's actually there. So I am like, okay, now we're acquiring a fan base. Things are moving. Like, you know, progress comes in a lot of different ways. And just, you know, like when you were saying a little bit ago is about like honing in on what you do well and just creating your brand around that. So if you're a really good songwriter, then your entire fucking Instagram page should just be you writing songs, pictures of your composite book, video of you playing a new song, trying out a new, like that should be your entire fucking content. It's just you songwriting. Yeah. Plain and simple.
Or you just, you know, displaying your songs in different ways, you know, just lyrics of the song. You know, the first idea that came to your head, the first recording that you had, you know, and then you compare it with what the song is today. Yeah, no, for sure. Just, I think I like what you said, just to taking taking the thing that you do best and hyper focusing on that. Because, you know, at the end of the day, there is something that you do better than other things that you do. And those things you need to do, right? Right. Like there's certain things that, you're not very good at, but you have to do them until you can find somebody else or until somebody can step in and take that place. But at the end of the day, again, you're looking at it from a business perspective, right? The artist has now started his own business. You need to fill lots of hats, but you definitely need to focus. You need to fill lots of shoes. You definitely need to focus on
filling hats, filling shoes. You fill it all.
Filling hats and shoes and focusing, man. You just got to focus, man. You know what? You just got to
fill your shorts, whatever you got to do.
Yeah, focusing on what you're best at, and I think you kind of, you know, the rest kind of falls in line from there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think one thing that we definitely need to bring up here as well is the importance of having, like, you know, it is very important to have a fan base and to be, you know, when you were talking a minute ago about when bands, they go up and play a show and like singer, like they don't say a fucking word. They don't even really act as if the crowd's there. You know what I mean? just kind of do their thing. Like, I think we've talked about this before. Alt J, like,
oh yeah,
one of the more boring shows I've ever been to in my life. It was like they didn't want to be there. It was peculiar.
It was interesting, and it was, when they were playing the music, you can tell that they like it and they love it and they're having a good time. But then, like, when they interact with the crowd, and then they're just like, thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's definitely that's kind of like more of the star power performer thing.
Sure, because it's obviously fucking works. Like, yeah. But I just use them as an example because they're a band that I've also seen bands go the other direction where, like, in every single song, in between the song, there's banter going on, and I'm like, you guys just said that last night in Kansas City. I can tell. Like, you guys rehearsed that back and forth between each other, like, and that's fine. And like, it is what it is. Yeah, exactly. Like some story about what happened earlier that day. Like, no.
I hope I never booked those guys.
But no, I think one thing that's really important, as far as that same, the same conversations we've been having, as far as what really can equal success for a band, I think equally as important is having that local scene around you, and having the support of peers around you. Because yes, having the support of a fan base, that's actually how you're going to pay your bills. That's how you're going to actually be able to book bigger and bigger shows, is as your fan base grows. But having that local scene, the cats that are around you doing the same shit in the same towns and the same venues with the same bar owners, that's where you can actually really grow as a musician, is just talking shop and bouncing ideas. It's like, a stand-up comedian doing an open mic and half the room is other comedians. I mean, you figure out real quick what's funny and what's not.
Yeah. No, for sure. No, I think that's, in my opinion, the best piece of advice to any band would be, this week, go out and find 3 other bands that you like. And if you already have bands that you like, then you already kind of have the scene going. Sweet, expand it more. Go find bands that you enjoy listening to, and then just go to their shows.
Yeah.
Like the nights, Colin, my partner with Tunes for a Minute, we always say, if you're not gigging, you're still working. Like that Friday and Saturday night is still not your night. Like you should be out there. And I think without the help of a scene, no band makes it. Nobody does, ever. You're never going to do it on your own. So it has to be shared. And at the end of the day, if you're not trying to elevate your local music scene, you're not doing your part. If you're simply going and playing shows and then going home and then thinking about how all those people really just did their part in loving your songs because they're yours and it just should happen. You know what I mean? If that's you, then just play music for yourself in your basement. Yeah. Cause go to LA. Go to LA. Go be an actor. Cause that's not what it's about. It's supposed to be shared. You're supposed to. So yeah, I'd say biggest piece of advice, go find other bands you want to listen to, go to their shows, and then buy a beer. Like, that's it. It's pretty simple. You just buy a beer. And then whoever you're talking to, whoever serves you that beer, let them know what you're doing. Hey man, I'm here because I'm in a band and I love music and I want to see about what these guys are doing and what you were doing and who books shows here and what's his name. And everybody tells you that it takes a while, right? Like when you first start out, it takes a while. What will speed that process up is being focused on creating relationships. If you're focused on the relationship that you have with other bands, if you're focused on the relationship that you have with the venues, and really that's not a hard thing. when you think about building relationships with a venue, all you're talking about is building a relationship with the person that's serving you a beer, and you go from there. That's it. Like the dude that is giving, or the woman that is giving you a beer, you would just say, "Hey, what's up? My name's Jason, and I'm in a band too." And you get in a conversation. Then the next week you do it again. Then you get booked. And then when you get booked, you stay late and you help them. You know, you buy them all a shot. You tip them real well, and you tell them, "Hey, I don't have a show next week. I'm going to bring some friends out." That's it. Because and then, oh, hey, I'm going to actually take pictures too and post those and tag everybody and talk about it all week on my social. You know, who's not going to want that guy around?
Right. Exactly.
Who's not going to want the guy that's talking good about everybody? If you're not promoting every band all the time, then it's just, you're not doing it right.
Right. Yeah. And that's one thing I do my best to keep up with, like, local bands that have been on this podcast. I do my best to keep up with, like, who's releasing music so that we can share it to our page. And, you know, I've done my best to let these bands know, like, hey, if you ever want me to pitch something, let me know. Like, we got you. Like, that's what we do. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing this episode, for fuck's sake, and not just sitting here talking about, you know, going to Wisconsin and hanging out. Like, this is why we're doing this, because, like, we're fucking passionate about this shit, you know? Like, both of us right now, you doing Tunes for a Minute and me doing this podcast, all of this stemmed from both of us being super fucking pissed off about what the local music scene did to us and what we were going to do about it. And now we're here.
Yeah. 100%.
And this is, so it's obviously it's something we're both super passionate about. And I think a big part of that too, you know, like in recent years, the way, you know, like a lot of thinking has changed in society. One thing that has changed a lot too is maybe an older generation saying something like, well, I had to go through all of those things, so the next new generation will be just fine if they go through it. Where the thought process should actually be, I went through all of these things. It'd be really cool if the next people after me didn't have to. Like, if they didn't have to deal with the bullshit I had to deal with. If they were able to just succeed. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if there's anything that I would love to see, it would be exactly that. Because when I was in my own local music scene, I thought I was supportive of the people around me, but I really just kind of viewed them as like they were taking my spot.
100%. Yeah.
And I let that control my thought process. So therefore, like, I wasn't going to post anything about them or take a picture of them playing, or I wasn't going to tell the bartender that I was there to see them. I was going to tell them that I had my own gig. If they wanted to book me, then I'd be there. But I didn't view it as a supportive community. And it's one of those things that I really wish that I would have actually viewed it as a supportive community. And I would have just been a supportive musician myself to my friends and to the other cats in the local scene, because things definitely would have been different, because then all of a sudden it wouldn't have just been me. Like, it would have been all of us.
Yeah.
And how much that can change really quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nuts, man. It's crazy because the whole thing is backwards, and you look at the industry as a whole, and it almost feels like it was built to go against the artist. It was built to make it more difficult for the artist. So yeah, I think you bring up a great point. Like, if you look at, like, say, a local legend, some guy that gets booked everywhere, gets paid tons of money, he doesn't have a, you know, gigging is his only job because, you know, his gigs are great, right? You know, that guy, it for the most part is thinking, like you said, I mean, it took me these many years. I had to go through this. I had to do that. I had to sacrifice. I had to push. I had to fight. I had to claw my way to the top. And, like, no, you're going to do the same thing, bro. Like, if you're looking at the younger generation saying you're going to have to work just as hard to get to where I'm at, then as a whole, the industry isn't going to move anywhere. The industry isn't the you know, the art, forget the industry, right? The art isn't going to advance anymore. You're letting the industry kill the art. But if the industry informs the art, then the whole thing, you know, the whole thing expands. And it's like, oh man, it's more about how we're doing this together than how we're only just doing it on our own.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I think it's natural though. If you think about the industry having been turned against the artist since the beginning, I mean, how many stories do we not know about of these of songs that exploded, millions of copies sold, but because of, some legality, the artist doesn't get, barely any money. Mm-hmm. The label owns all the rights to everything. Mm-hmm. And if they want to pull the plug, they can just throw somebody else's face onto a music video and call it the same band, and nobody's going to care.
We have a term for them. They're called one-hit wonders. We make jokes about them.
Yes. And those poor bastards are the one. I mean, and if you think about it, that's a norm. That's like, that's the industry, bro. Like that's just how it works.
Yeah.
So then you think of years and years and years of that. No wonder artists are fighting each other.
Yeah.
No, because they're sitting there, they're fighting for table scraps. They'll take whatever they can get. Mm-hmm. And I talk about this all the time, but guys that are taking $75 gigs or $120 gigs, it's like, dude, you can't be doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You gotta, you
or pay to play,
or if anybody's doing pay to play anymore, man, they should be put down. And I say this with all the love in my heart. Like, you cannot do pay to play. Hey, Elephant Wire podcast listeners, if you're doing a pay to play show this weekend, cancel the play. Do not pay. It's crazy how you think about that logic, though, because what they're playing on is that the artist gets off on playing their music in front of people. So, let's just give them a bunch of people. Well, and not even give them a bunch of people, but just like offer them the glory of a good stage. And then they'll fight and claw and push and spit their way to get people here. Mm-hmm. It's so backwards, man. So yeah. If that's how the industry operates, then of course artists are against each other and, not open with resources and, it's crazy, man.
It's absolutely turned us against each other.
Yeah.
It really has. I mean, we're all kind of filled with the same animosity and none of us know what to do with it. But I think that's kind of where we're going with this, is if we all take that animosity and we take that angry and we take that hurt and we take that fucking just piss and vinegar, and like you said, if we flip it the other direction, there's no reason in that, because we all know yes, the music industry is brutal, and the people that are at the top, like, yes, they're brutal, and yes, they're cutthroat, and yes, they don't give a fuck, but the only thing that they listen to is their wallet. And if all of a sudden they realize that their wallet could be affected, then they will absolutely pivot.
100%. Dude.
Instantly. Without question.
Billie Eilish. She is the answer that the internet has won. Mm-hmm. You got some no-name girl writing some really good songs because she cared about the art. And her brother, they both wanted to write very specific types of songs, and they had a very good vision, and they were good songwriters and singers and players and whatnot. And what happens? They can walk into the record label. Mm-hmm. Was it Warner Brothers? I can't remember what it was, but
sounds right.
Whatever first record label she was on, she walked in there and called the shots. Mm-hmm. She walked in there and said, "This is what we're going to do. This is the deal that I'm looking for. And this is what I'd like from you." Mm-hmm. Like, it's crazy. Like, that's unheard of 20 years ago, 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Maybe not 10 years ago. I'm getting older, but you know what I mean? It's crazy. Yeah. And Billie Eilish is one of the biggest stars right now. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, you can continue to try to prove yourself to get the accolades from the system that you don't need. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to try to advance art and music in my community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I think one thing that a lot of people don't realize is how much a good local scene can actually mean for the community. Like, and how much it'll actually change. Even like the smallest margin of fame, it like regional fame, can mean an insane amount for a community. It just the support of a musician. You know, one I remember, so one of the west suburbs of Chicago, Geneva, Illinois. They throw a festival every year called Swedish Days, and there's always the Swedish Days Festival or the Swedish Days Parade. And I remember one year the Grand Marshal of the Swedish Days Parade was a girl that went on America's Got Talent.
Oh wow, yeah.
She made it on the show, and she was the Grand Marshal of the fucking parade, dude. So
it's just now hitting me after you said it. I'm like, wait, what? What do you mean, some girl? That's it, huh? So she was on national television, and bam, she is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure she did, well enough that that many people knew of her, found out about her, whatever it was. But like I'm saying, I mean, even that smallest little bit of success within an industry that literally just destroys people and cuts them and discards them as if they never existed. For someone to actually put in the work and get somewhere, actually start to gain some notoriety, how much that means to the local community and the local scene that you have going. And especially if you've already set yourself up, if you've already made a name for yourself as the kind of person that you want to see the success in your peers too, that will only mean more.
Yeah.
How could it?
Well, I mean, it's interesting too, because I feel like you were saying, there's we all deal with animosity, and it portrays itself differently in everybody. But one of the big signs of not being okay with yourself is when the success of other people bothers you, and it really cuts you deep. Like, that should be me, and I think if we're honest, most of us feel that. Most of us don't know how to deal with that.
Right.
But I think if we're honest with what we want to get out of what we're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll be able to navigate that a little more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you come to terms with why you're doing the thing you're doing.
Yeah. I thought, you're kind of going in the direction of the real danger is misplaced anger.
Yes.
That's the real danger there, is whenever your anger has no outlet, when your animosity has no outlet, when it has no conducive form to take, that's whenever you can back yourself into a corner. And, because that's the thing. I mean, if you hate the way that you live in a town that has 4 bars that do local music, that do live music, one of them, you don't want to play there because they book Charlie and Sally every Friday night that are doing country covers, and you don't want anything to fucking do with that.
Charlie and Sally.
Your buddies are not going to show up to see you play there.
Nobody's going to.
So now we're down to 3 venues in your local scene. So let's take those 3 venues. Well, one of them is doing pay to play, and that's only for bands that aren't, on the rotating schedule, which the 3 bands that are coming through there, they're not even from your town. They just come play there some weekend. So now you're down to 2 venues in your local scene. And let's say your town has 5 or 6 bands. It's really easy to fall into the trap that everyone's against each other.
Yeah.
Fighting for those spots. When the real way to take that anger and that animosity would be okay, we're not actually mad at each other. like, we didn't do this to each other. We are not the reason that there's 2 bars in town that we can actually play at.
Yeah.
Or however the scenario ended up. I got lost.
You sound like me, dude. I do that shit. I'll overcomplicate my scenario and be like, oh no. Oh, man,
I was like halfway.
Was it Jill?
I was halfway through the second act, and I was like, "Wait, who died already?" Like, no, but you get my point. I mean, like,
yeah,
like
100%.
It's not the musician. Like, the musicians did not do this to each other to end up in the shoes that they're in. These are just the cards that they've been dealt. Here's their hand. All right, how are we going to play this, guys? How are we going to go about this? How are we going to join forces here? And actually, like, we can all do this, like, because that very quickly, if you get 5 or 6 bands on the same page that are playing 2 bars, all of a sudden you got 2 bars that are like, oh shit, they're gonna notice real fast what's fucking happening, and now you've created a local scene that now not maybe yes the bands in that local scene are making a name for themselves, but now you have a local scene that surrounding towns are now hearing about. So you have people on the weekends coming to that town because of what this local scene is creating. And you still got Harry and Sally over at the country bar playing.
Or down yonder. Yeah. No, for sure. I think a lot of it too is guys feel like they have ownership over a certain place after a certain amount of years. To where it's like, I put hard work into this stage, and people come out to see us because we've been playing here for 10 years, and so they let's say they've gotten raises, right? So their budget has gone up more and more, obviously because of the amount of people that a band would bring. But I do think there is a limit that no band should go below. And that really comes out to about 100 and, depending on the situation, right? About $150 a guy.
That's what I was going to say. Is it dependent on how many people?
Yeah, I'd say, well, no matter what, $150 a guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and even at that, like, I would still even ask for like 500 for a 3-piece. Depending on the 3-piece. So that's a little over 150 a guy, but still, like, when you think about the entertainment value of a full band, and especially a band that does good work, right? 150 is nothing, but anyway, back to my example from, so say these guys that have been playing there and they've gotten their raises, right? Say they're really raking it in and they're bringing in 300 a guy, right? If they knew of a band that was going in there that was actually pretty good, but they knew that the owner was paying them $75, like, that's one of those situations where that band should step in and go, come on, what are you doing?
Right. This is exactly what we're talking about.
Would that ever happen? Probably not. No, because you got to climb the ranks, bro. Mm-hmm. You got to do this thing. Like, come on, man. But there's guys out there that are trying to get music. They're trying to get full bands. We got an offer. Some guy hit me up. Hey, man, I need a Tuesday night. I'm like, okay, cool. Tuesday nights, what's your budget like? He goes, it's pretty low. And I go, well, it helps that it's a Tuesday night because guys usually aren't playing anyway. So what do you got? Hit me with what you got. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, man, we want to do $100. I'm like, a guy? I said, I can make that work if you mean a guy. And he's like, no, $100 total. Can you do like a 2-piece or a 3-piece? I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah, have a good day.
You want $100? You want $100? No joke. This guy wanted $100 for a 3-piece. And I'm sure he was just, lowballing, so that if I said, what about 120 instead, sir?
Exactly.
Then, but it's like, bro, how is that? Like, would you pay 15 cents for a cell phone? It's just, this shit's going to break, man. Yeah. Your battery life is going to be terrible. There's going to be no Wi-Fi connection. Bluetooth is always going to cut out. But sure, go ahead. Buy one. It's the same concept, but people just think, oh, well, there's a band on stage. It's the same thing. now we're getting into all kinds of different stuff, but now I'm actually angry.
Good. As we've been sitting here, I've been leaning back more and more and
I'm getting angry, dude.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I know.
It's terrible.
I know. And I think one thing, I mean, because it doesn't necessarily directly affect me anymore. I see its effects. I hear its effects. I know of the effects. And so it's not quite that I'm separated from it, because exactly like what we're talking, like, it still angers me to know that it's going on to this day. And it's, it as long as, like we've been saying, as long as musicians stay at each other's throats over spots on a stage, that, or in the situation that you were just talking about, not stepping up and speaking up for each other in a situation, that as long as we view each other as competition, which, there's something to be said about healthy competition. We've talked many times about how I
100%.
really wish that rock and roll, or just rock musicians, or just bands in general, would take a page out of rap's playbook and get a little feisty about it. I think that's fun. I was just watching some shit last night about, remember the Malice in the Palace, the Indiana Pacers and the Pistons, when they got in a huge brawl and went in the stands and all that shit?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Netflix...
I didn't know it had an actual name. That's beautiful.
Yeah, well, because it was at the Palace of Auburn Hills, was where the Detroit Pistons played. Yeah, so it was called Malice in the Palace. Well, at one point, they're talking to one of the players, and he says, yeah, what a lot of people don't realize is we're all friends. It's like we all hang out outside of basketball, but the fans don't know that. And so however we react, the fans are going to react times 10, because they've got to have our backs. He's like, they don't realize that, like, whenever I'm yelling at my boy, I'm half just trying to get in his head, half just being like, fuck you, dude, I'll see you at the bar later. Yeah. Like, they don't realize, like, and then the fan in the stands, all he sees is just finger pointing. And so he's like, these guys are really pissed at each other. So look at rap. Are you going to tell me right now that half the rappers out there that are beefing actually don't like each other? Is that what you're going to fucking tell me? No. Those dudes film their reaction videos about each other and then fucking go get some sushi, man. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah. It's true. It's true, because I think that sort of leads to more camaraderie, more we're in this together, more, what are you about? I'm about it. I feel like, the rock side of things is more, well, because it's, I guess maybe the band concept, who knows? Because, hip hop guys rappers will view themselves as solo, right? And so then it's easier for me to go and integrate into something else.
Sure.
Or try to be a part of something else. But if, I guess it's harder to collaborate between bands than it is between, like, hip hop artists.
Yeah.
But anyway, I know what you mean. I think one of the first things that we saw when we started doing Tunes Per Minute podcasts, was that the hip hop guys were all very tight knit, and they all shared resources, and they all promoted each other, and they all, they were all on the same page. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we noticed that right away too, because these were the first guys that were hitting us up like, hey, I really love what you guys are doing. I want to be on the podcast. So, like, the first 4 episodes, I think, were hip hop artists. Mm-hmm. And then we had another, like, 4 after that. Like, we had maybe 3 rock guys, and then bam, another 4 hip hop artists, because these guys were just all about it. We loved it. Yeah. We couldn't, and then we got, connected with a bunch of their friends, and, the whole nine. But yeah, I think, I don't know, man. I just feel like if we cared about it as much as we care about writing songs, the whole thing would be different. Yeah. And back to the money thing, the band that isn't telling, well, first of all, the venue that's offering bands that low of an amount is an asshole. The band that's not telling the other band to not take it because it's too little is an asshole. And the band that's taking it, like any band that's taking that low of an amount, come on, man.
Yeah.
Would you go work for, $4 an hour at McDonald's? So why are you taking a pay to play?
Exactly.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
But, and, it all affects each other. We all affect each other. Every decision we make within the industry affects each other.
Yeah, exactly. I also would love to be a fly on a wall at a meeting when they ask the guy, like, so the pay to play show for this weekend, what are we looking at? Like, well, I got one band, but I think he's going to back out. So we have no one paying the pay to play show? Like, are we going to have to pay them?
What are you talking about? Yeah, wait,
I think we will. Oh my God.
Forget about it, man.
Too much, man. If we could honestly sit here all night just pissed as fuck.
Oh, right? Yeah. Just getting more angry too.
At some point, we need to calm the fuck down and go to bed because it's getting late.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Jason, we're going to keep having you back, man. And we're going to just keep this conversation going. And, whether we're doing any help for the kids out there or whether they're completely fucking ignoring our geriatric asses at this point,
yeah,
it's up to them.
4 minutes in, they were like, this guy doesn't know shit. Turn it off. What have you done?
Exactly. You can't even figure out how to do a background.
This was my background. I set it up.
You turn it off and you've been at the beach the whole time? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I love it.
Well, Jay, it was fantastic to talk to you again, brother. Thanks so much for coming on here. This is
yeah, man.
This has been a treat. Like I said, we're going to keep having you back. We're going to get this band thing figured out, man. We're going to get these kids off and running. Tunes for a Minute. Keep a good eye on those guys. Follow them on Instagram. They're doing a lot of awesome stuff for some really great local musicians. Jay, who's a local band right now that we should be listening to?
Local band right now. I'm trying to think. Did you ask me this last time? I don't want to say the same band.
I think last time we pretty much just talked about Biko.
Oh, right on. A good local band. I like Stop.Dop.Rewind.
Rewind. Okay.
They're out of Indiana.
Okay.
And just crossing the border from Illinois. But they are super nostalgic, super alternative, sort of pushing the lines of emo, like heavy drums, very, very good drumming. Andy Sutton is on drums. Okay. He plays with bunch of different people, but Stop.Dop.Rewind. Check it out if you're into that sort of emo 90s, like sort of Jimmy World and
okay.
Yeah, that sort of vibe.
Some early Weezer kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, there you go. But yeah, those guys are rad. Stop.Dop.Rewind. It's been a privilege, man. Just like, booking these shows, working with Colin, working with Tunes for a Minute, and getting to meet all these people, and really have it mean something, right. in terms of, hey, thanks for being a part of what we're doing here, not just, hey, we want to book a show for you.
Right.
That's been a lot of fun. So yeah, Stop.Dop.Rewind. Yeah, you got to give them a little shout out then too.
Oh hell yeah! They're going to be the local band spotlight this week for sure.
There you go.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll be posting about them all week.
Bada boom.
Well, fucking A, bud. It was great to have you on here. We'll have to talk again soon. We played phone tag for about 6 months there.
Yeah, that was a while, but it's fine. It's fine. We did it. We nailed it down.
We got it done.
Episode 42, baby.
There you go. Oh, 32. Did I say 42?
Yeah, no, 32? You said,
oh,
you
there
said
we
32.
I see what you're doing.
Planting seeds of doubt.
Okay. I see what you're doing. Season 3 coming around. Okay, bud.
Okay. Hey, congratulations. You already have more podcast episodes than Tunes Per Minute does.
You're on hiatus.
Hey, man, we'll be back. We'll be back, B.
Good. Oh, my God. All right, brother man. Well, it was good to see you. We'll catch up with you again soon. Thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. We'll talk.
Absolutely.